So work on the Scared Stiff Playfield swap continues. You can see when I bought this, the plastics were broken on the slingshots. So we're going to work on the slingshots to replace the plastics with the new molded plastics and installing the Morpheus, the Boogieman mod. So you end up with the finger puppet moving on top of the slingshot anytime the slingshot is triggered during regular play or Boogieman mode. Let's get into it. Hey, so I'm replacing the leaf switches on the slingshots. And I went ahead and bought these slingshots. What are they? The SW1A120s and the 144s. The 120, I believe, has the three tabs, so you can put the diode on, because only one of the two slingshot switches, because they're basically a copy of each other. You only need one diode on the two switches. So both of these, which I bought, I've just ended up buying them all with the three tabs. But the issue I had was the ones I bought had the short leg facing towards the bracket. Now I don't know if that was just a manufacturing error. They were cheap, so maybe that's the reason why. They were like $5 compared to 14, 15 bucks. And when I went back to try and find the right ones, after I realized my mistake, I realized that they were no longer available. So this is what they're supposed to look like. This is the old one, where you've got the bracket and the long piece coming this way, because when they mount, you want the rubber to be over the long piece. So it does that. Currently, if you're mounted, the long piece is going to be at the back, and the rubber's going to be at the back, so it won't work. So what I did was, I went on the new ones, and I've already done it, is I drilled out the rivets, okay? So literally got a 3 millimeter drill bit, and just drilled down very lightly until this bracket came loose. Then took the bracket off, have got a set of rivets. So these are 3.2 millimeter or 1/8 of an inch diameter, and the grip is 9.6 millimeters. But if you actually look online, you can see it goes from 9.6 up to, I think it's 12.6 grip. And this distance here is a grand total of 10.6. So these work, and you can see these rivets as they go through, that fits and has enough grip. So what we want to do is to mount these so that the bracket is on the front. The long end goes down and the short end goes onto the playfield. And then there's a little metal plate. And what we then do is the bracket side to the metal plate side. It doesn't really matter, but just for consistency. So in that goes, and that goes through. Get the rivet gun, hold them nice and firm together, and give it a good squeeze. And that comes off, and that then secures it. And then you put in the second one. There we go. Once that's in, just gonna make sure you push it in all the way, and then if it pops. Now you fix that so that you now have the long end, the side of the bracket, which is the same as the one that I'm fixing. So I'll go ahead and put those back in. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and put these in, and then I'm going to move on to the lighting. So now that I've got these the right way around, you can see that the short leg is the back and the long legs at the front, and that's just going to sit nicely on the rubbers. If you had it the other way around, it doesn't work. Okay, so you'll see I've done the ball guides. I've given them a clean. I put these two screws in. This one attaches to the ramp. Now we're going to have a look at getting the slingshots. So the slingshots are quite different from almost any other set. They often come with these Boogieman features. Now, what is a Boogieman? A Boogieman is a little plastic puppet which sits on top of a specially designed slingshot arm, so whenever the slingshot moves forward, it goes forward. And that's a Boogieman. I have got these on order, and they will come, the slingshot arms. They're coming from Holland, where I found a guy who's made a beautiful modification for it. More on that later. But there's within this there's a special set of plastics that go with this. I've decided that I'm going to do a couple of things on this slingshot. It's an important part of the game. I'm going to put special LEDs underneath the star posts. So there's going to be a LED little plate which sits underneath each of these two star plates. I'm then going to go with white LEDs, not green like I've done on the rest. So in go the frosted white LEDs. Let's have a look. Then I've attached to the GI the star post illumination. So these are the little star post PCBs you can buy. They're not expensive. I'll see if I can find them online and put a link in. I bought these from Elite Pinball in Australia. I don't believe they're still selling these, but and so what I've done is, it's really simple. I've just got both of them attached to one of the general illumination lights, and so these are the two BCBs. So I'm going to feed this up onto the top of the playfield, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so the wires go off to the side. So one of the things that I don't like about these boards is they're just a little bit too big. So you can see these sit nicely, perfectly underneath the star post, but the problem is the board is just a little bit too big and it bats up against the edge of the LED. So what I tend to do is I actually just nip off, to be a little bit careful that you don't kill any of the traces, but you don't have to take much off. Take the corner off like that. Okay, so literally you end up just with a slightly different shape, but what you can find then is that it gets in much closer into, out of the way. So first things, we're going for the red one, red star post. In we go, just put that in like that. So that goes on there, and that goes around a bit. So the back one is a 6/32 thread, and then the front two are the 8/32 thread, so the bigger thread. Okay. So then what happens on these is we have our first bit of polycarbonate plate, and it's the thin little polycarbonate plate which goes on. Okay. Actually, so before you put this on, really, you need to put on your rubber, but we'll just put it on and show you what it looks like beforehand. So that goes on like that. And then comes the slingshot, that's the wrong side. Then comes the slingshot, and then between the slingshot there is a little spacer. And this spacer, just for those following along at home, this is a 1/2 inch spacer, okay? With a 3/8 male female thread on it, and then a little rubber washer on the top. So that when that's on, I'm not going to tighten it too much. Then this rather fragile slingshot cover goes on, and then to protect that you have another plastic which goes on the top. Okay, now the point is that the Boogieman slingshot arm is going to come up through here, but I thought what I'd do is I'd show you what this looks like illuminated, and to do that I've got my benchtop power supply. I'm going to dial that up to 6.5 volts, and then I've got these little hooks on the end of some leads. I'm going to just attach those to any of the GI that are on this GI string. Okay. And let's turn this off altogether. And so that's the effect that you get. It's a bit tricky to get that in on camera. Let's go around to the side. So that's what I'm going to do on the other side as well. And once you get the boogeyman on there, they shine up a little bit too. So you can see that that's what it's going to kind of look like. Okay, so I've changed my mind. I am going to go for green lights in there. I'm not going to put them all together just yet because I'm waiting for those mechanisms to come. And I'm going to show you why. So I think with the illuminated star posts, you can get away with the green. And the green lights up, the red lights up. It really does look really good. And so long as I don't use a red boogeyman, which will come out black, because when green hits red, it goes black, then we'll be fantastic. And then I will have an apron light. I'll either go red or green here. We'll see. Probably green to highlight the screen. From here onwards, we're going to go red and then blue at the top. So we'll see how this goes once I get it all on. I'm still not sure whether I might end up doing this star post as well. Because it does, you can see how it just is dull, but you don't see it as much. They start to get in the way a little bit. So let's see how this ties together. But I'm going to now wait and see. And then I've gone for the clear rubbers. These are the clear Titan rubbers. So that's what I'm doing for colors. Move on to the next thing. And these will go in the box until I get the slingshot arms. That's it for episode 16. Next episode, we'll be jumping ahead and installing the Boogeyman slingshot arms made by Morpheus on Pinside. Until next time, thanks very much for watching.